All right, let's talk about something I'm pretty sure every Java developer has run into. You get a request from a client, hey, can you export this data for me? And your application just completely chokes. Well, today we're going to fix that for good. Oh yeah, you know this one. We've all seen it. That soul-crushing, show-stopping error. You kick off a big data export, you watch the memory usage climb, and then, bam! Everything just falls over. This right here, this is the enemy. And today, we're going to learn how to beat it. So here's the classic scenario, right? The client needs a new feature. They want to be able to click a button and get a real-time Excel report straight from the database. Sounds simple enough, but there's always a catch, isn't there? The database is huge. And I'm not talking about a couple thousand rows. I mean, 1 million or more. The traditional way you'd build an Excel file is to create the whole thing in memory first. But when you try to load 1 million+ rows into memory, well, your application's memory, that Java heap space, it just gives up. There's no way it can hold all that data at once. So what's the fix? Well, thankfully, the brilliant folks behind the Apache POI library have given us the perfect tool. It's a class called SXSF Workbook. You gotta remember that name. It was built from the ground up for exactly this situation, writing massive spreadsheets without blowing up your memory. The difference here is just night and day. The old way, using a regular XSSW book, is like trying to carry 1 million books from the library to your car all at once. You're going to drop them. It's inevitable. But the new way, with SSXSW book, that's like putting those books on a conveyor belt. It just streams the data, writing rows to a temporary file on your disk as it goes, which keeps the amount of memory you're actually using incredibly low.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but what does this actually look like in code? Let's dive in and take a look. And I think you're going to be surprised by just how easy it is to make the switch to this super efficient method.
First things first, you gotta have the right libraries in your project. If you're using Maven, you'll need to pull in these dependencies from Apache POI. These are what give you all the power to work with modern Excel files. Just make sure you're grabbing a fairly recent version, because this streaming goodness needs POI 3.16 or newer. You know, the best part is that the actual logic here is incredibly straightforward. We can really boil it down to just 3 main steps. You create the workbook, you loop through your data, writing it out row by row, and then you write the file and clean up. That's pretty much it. Let's see the code. Step 1, initializing the workbook. Right off the bat, you see instead of new XS workbook WB, we're doing new SXS workbook WB. Simple change. Now, what's up with that number, that 100? That's our little magic number. It's the window size. It tells POI how many rows to keep in memory at a time. We'll circle back to why that's so important in just a minute. Now for step 2, the real workhorse of the operation. You just loop through your data, maybe from a database result set or whatever your source is, and the code inside this loop, it's going to look almost exactly like what you're probably used to. You create a row, you create cells, you put your data in. But behind the scenes, POI is doing all this amazing memory management for you. And to finish it all off, step 3. Once your loop is done, you write the workbook to your file. But listen, the most critical part here, and I mean it, do not forget to call close. That close method is what tells POI to clean up all those temporary files it created on the disk. If you forget this, you're going to have a bad time.
Okay, so we've seen the how. Now let's pull back the curtain and really look at the why. Why is this approach so much better? How does this magic actually work under the hood? It all comes down to being smart about memory.
Remember that window size of 100 we set earlier? This is where it becomes the star of the show. Think of it like a small buffer. As you write new rows, let's say row 101, the oldest row, row 1, gets flushed out of memory and written to a temporary file on the disk. This is literally the mechanism that prevents your memory from ever exploding. And you can tune this number up or down depending on your needs. It's your control valve. And this right here, this is the result. I mean, look at that chart. It's not even a contest. With the standard method, that memory usage just goes up and up and up until crash. But with our streaming SXSS workbook, it stays totally flat and low. It doesn't matter if it's 100,000 rows or 1 million rows. The difference is absolutely dramatic. So this seems like a silver bullet, right? And It kinda is. But before you run off and refactor all your code, let's just quickly cover how you can prove this to yourself, a couple of really important limitations to know about, and what the ultimate rewards are.
And hey, don't just take my word for any of this. You can see it happen with your own eyes. There's an awesome free tool called Visual VM that actually comes with the JDK. You can fire it up, connect it to your application, and literally watch the memory usage on a graph. Run the old code, then run the new code. You'll see that beautiful, flat memory line for yourself.
So let's be super clear about the trade-offs. The main catch, the proviso, is that this is for writing new files from scratch. Since it's flushing old rows to disk, you can't just go back and edit a cell from way earlier. It's a one-way street. And of course, keep an eye on your POI and Java versions. But the payoffs, they're huge. No more out-of-memory error, and your app will use a tiny fraction of the memory it did before. So we've totally conquered the large Excel file problem. But the real takeaway here, the big idea, is the power of streaming data instead of loading it all at once. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Now that you know this trick for Excel, what other heavy-duty jobs in your apps could you fix with this exact same streaming approach? Think about generating massive XML or JSON files. The potential is huge. Thanks for tuning in.